In the fast-paced world of hotel investment, there's a new, powerful force at play, and it is completely changing the rules of the game. It's called ESG, and if you want to understand how assets are valued today, you absolutely need to know what it is and how it can drive the value of your hotel.
Hello and welcome. I am a hotel AI expert with extensive experience in modern hospitality operations and performance support. I'm very pleased to welcome all students of Europe Hotel School to your online learning journey. We look forward to supporting your professional growth in the hospitality industry.
So in this explainer, we're going to walk through 5 key areas. This is going to give you a really solid grasp of ESG in the hotel world. We'll start with why it's so important right now, then we'll dive into the details of what it is, and finally we'll talk about how you can put it into practice. Let's get started.
All right, so let's jump right into the big question. Why is ESG suddenly on everyone's radar? Well, the simple answer is that the game has completely changed. The way we measure the value of a hotel asset, it's just not only about the numbers anymore.
The best way to think of ESG is like a new kind of report card for hotels. But it's not just about getting good grades in finance, it's about how well the hotel is performing in terms of its impact on the environment, its relationships with its people and the community, and of course, the ethics of its leadership.
We've seen this massive shift in the industry. What used to be seen as just a nice-to-have set of initiatives, well, that's completely changed. Now a hotel's ESG profile isn't just a bonus, it's become a fundamental factor in determining its actual market value. And this whole shift is really being fueled by something we call conscious capital. Basically, large institutional investors are now actively hunting for assets that have strong ESG metrics. They see these properties as safer, more resilient, and just better positioned for long-term growth. So the bottom line? If you want to attract that major investment, a strong ESG strategy is no longer optional.
Okay, so let's break ESG down into its 3 pillars, starting with the E for environmental. This is where you can see the clearest, most direct link between doing good and improving the bottom line.
When we talk about the environmental pillar, what we're really talking about is efficiency. It's all about practical things, like reducing how much energy and water you use and keeping a close eye on the hotel's carbon footprint. But here's the key takeaway. These aren't just feel-good projects. They are incredibly smart business decisions.
And this is the crucial point. Every single dollar you save on a utility bill flows directly to the bottom line. It improves the hotel's EBITDA, which is its core operational profitability. This is, without a doubt, the most direct way the E and ESG boost the financial health of the asset.
Now, things like green certifications, LEED is a popular one, they're so much more than just a marketing tool or a nice plaque for the lobby. They're a stamp of approval. They tell investors that this is a high-performing, efficient asset. And that stamp of approval can mean a much bigger payday when it's time to sell.
All right, now that we've covered the E of ESG, let's move on to the S and the G. That's social and governance. This is where we really start to look at the human side of the business and the principles that guide it.
The social pillar, it's all about people. It's about how a hotel treats its employees, how it engages with the local community, and from an investor's perspective, a hotel with a strong social score, one that has a stable, diverse, and motivated workforce, is simply seen as a lower-risk, more resilient investment.
The governance pillar is really the bedrock of ESG. It's the foundation everything else is built on. It's all about transparency, ethics, and accountability. I mean, think about it. Would you invest your money in a company that you don't trust? Of course not. And that's exactly why good governance is so critical.
So, how do investors possibly make sense of all this different information?
Well, they use ESG scores. You can think of these scores almost like a credit score, but for sustainability and ethics. And having a high score can make your hotel a very hot commodity for investors. And now for the million-dollar question. How does all of this actually affect the financial bottom line? Well, the answer is pretty simple. It can either make you a lot of money or it can cost you a lot of money.
It's really a tale of 2 very different outcomes. On one hand, you have what are called green premiums. These are higher valuations, higher purchase prices given to hotels that are excelling in ESG. But on the flip side, you have brown discounts. An asset with, say, high carbon emissions or a history of poor labor relations will actually be penalized with a lower purchase price. The market is actively rewarding the leaders and punishing the laggards.
And that financial impact is undeniable. A poor ESG score doesn't just represent a missed opportunity, it can actively drag down the value of your asset. A strong score, on the other hand, can send its value soaring. It's a real, tangible effect on the sale price.
So now that you understand the what and the why of ESG, let's talk about the how. How can you, as a future leader in the hospitality industry, actually make a difference and drive this forward? Your responsibility, whether you become a general manager or an owner's representative, is absolutely crucial. First, you have to integrate real, concrete ESG targets directly into the hotel's annual business plan. Second, you've got to be actively monitoring that environmental footprint. And third, your ultimate goal is to apply these principles to make sure your asset is and remains a prime, attractive investment for this new generation of global, conscious buyers.
So, as you all embark on your incredible careers in this industry, I want to leave you with this final thought. ESG isn't just about the numbers, it's about the future. It's about creating a more sustainable, a more equitable, and ultimately a more profitable industry for all the generations that will come after us. And that is a legacy worth building.